Raouf, Professor of Environmental Economics. Good morning, Dr. Abdel Raouf.
Alan, good morning to you and to your viewers.
So, sir, to begin with, we would like to know the strategic importance of the Strait of Hormuz. Now it is closed again, and the repercussions of this move.
Yes, the situation is complicated a little bit after temporarily almost 2 weeks truce, which is set to expire on Wednesday, April 22. The situation now is in a critical deadlock because Iran reimposed its closure after the U.S. refused to lift its naval blockade on Iranian ports. This has many negative impacts on oil, gas, and the global economy in general. We all know that the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, which roughly transport 20%, around 20% of the world's daily oil consumption, this leads to a price hike of oil and gas. We have seen in March and April almost the prices spiked to $120 US per barrel, and also the gas prices spiked around 150%. This affects the global economy because of we have a shortage of around 13 million barrel per day. There is no other alternative that can compensate this shortage. We have seen that airlines in Europe announced they have only 6 weeks and they don't have enough fuel. So as this lasts longer, as this blockage lasts longer, if no diplomatic solution, we will have a very severe negative impact on global economy via trade, inflation, and financial stability. We can see that there is a possibility for a global recession if higher energy prices persist. Some analysts predict that the global GDP growth is projected to slow from around 2.9 to around 2.5 in 2026. There is also an inflation as a result of higher fuel and transport costs. Also because of the Strait of Hormuz transport the fertilizers, around 30% of the world's fertilizers. This will affect, higher prices will affect global food security. Many other products like helium, and aluminum and many other products transported from via Strait of Hormuz. All this will lead to higher prices of electricity, transportation, food items globally, not only in the region but globally. The region specifically is affected, very severely affected via its loss of aviation and tourism because of the military operations. We hope that because today they were expected to resume the peace talks. We have only 2 days left, and let's hope the situation will be better.
And sir, what are the impacts of this war on environment?
The impacts on environment is very severe. Unfortunately, environment is a silent casualty. Environment, and we cannot say what exactly the environmental losses, but definitely they are severe. And if we want to put a cost, it's costing trillions. We are losing marine biodiversity, terrestrial biodiversity, air pollution, water resources as a result of military operation and also destruction of oil and gas production facilities, export pipelines, and so on. They don't recognize borders. They cause a large number, as a result of air pollution, they cause a large number of respiratory diseases and carcinogenic diseases. Also, the region depends mainly on desalinated water, as we have many of desalination plants in the Gulf, and as a result of direct destruction or pollution in the marine of the Gulf, the desalination process becomes impossible or very costly. If we have a total destruction, some cities in the Gulf region might only last 1 week with the drinking water. So in general, there is a very severe impact that doesn't recognize borders and last for generations to come.
Sir, also if we talk about the strait, and could closing the strait push major powers to use their strategic oil reserves?
Yeah, that's a very nice question, because already the International Energy Association announced a pool of around 400 billion barrels from its strategic reserves. This about 20% of the strategic reserve. This is like a temporary solution, you know,
Yes.
Preventing a total collapse of the energy market, with hopes that diplomatic talks will result in opening Strait of Hormuz and going back to normal. And by the way, going back to normal will not happen in 1 day. It might take months because of the production and destruction. So in order to get everything back to normal, it will take at least months. Even the International Energy Authority estimates going back to normal takes 2 years. But they might use the other reserve if we don't reach a diplomatic solution. However, this is like a temporary solution, not a permanent solution. Using these reserves as a temporary solution in order to avoid a total collapse in energy market and going into a global recession.
So I'd like to thank you, Mr. Mohamed Abdel, Professor of Environmental Economics. Thank you, Dr. Abdel, for being with us. And we are back to Dr. Yasser Tantawi, international relations expert. So, Dr. Yasser, if we talk about the European stance regarding what is going on here in the region, and especially the ongoing U.S. blockade on Iran, how do you read the European stance regarding this?
I think they are massively impacted. The economy is in regression, and it will not revive again that easy. It will take years from the EU to revive again, because